Hi folks, this is the Watchman on the 9th of March 2022. So I'm seeing a report, a very recent report, that when I say we, I mean the police and customs in Trinidad and Tobago, intercepted a barrel of high-powered rifles, of course, destined for the gangs in Trinidad and Tobago. Now I'm quite happy that this was made. And quite recently, there was another raid in which a number of firearms were also seized. But all of this tells us one thing, that there are holes in our security cordon, there are holes in our system of interdiction of illegal goods coming into the country, and those holes are in fact being made by people within the customs, within immigration, within the police department, within the Coast Guard, and all those whose task it is to protect the country from an influx of bad goods, illegal goods, dangerous goods, and dangerous people. And we have to do something about it. Because you know what they say, for every one that you intercept, 3 may have already gotten through. So I was talking about inflow recently. Unless we stop the inflow, we cannot address the amount of illegal firearms that are out there. And we cannot balance the scale by giving legal firearms to each and every citizen or each and every person who is entitled to it, because it will make it worse. Not everyone can handle having firearms. There will be domestic murders, there will be family and friend incidents in parties. Remember, we had a case where a trained police officer, a senior officer, shot off a firearm at the behest of some of the party goers in Valsain during a New Year's Day and killed one of the guests. I'm sure you'll remember that. And then we had the recent incident where the commissioner of prisons accidentally shot himself in his leg with his own firearm. So, the solution is not giving everybody firearms. And the solution cannot be what was happening by giving one person 20 arms and some 10 and only arming certain sectors of the society and leaving the others to fear for themselves. No, that's not the way it's supposed to be. We are supposed to address the inflow. And then we are also supposed to address those who already have it. I saw a recent clip by Vernon Dilemma saying that he is supporting the death penalty and floggings in jail. Now remember, this is a man who was a defense attorney for Dole Chedi. A man who killed more people in the country than we could possibly count. But Mr. Dilemma himself was a victim of violence. So I think when the shoe is on the other foot, people understand what the rest of the country is facing. And I'm not criticizing him here. In fact, I also support having the death penalty and dropping out of some of these conventions that prevent a small country like ours from dealing with its extreme problem. Because whilst countries like America try to hold you to these international conventions and international instruments in terms of human rights and other issues, they themselves breach it all the time. And they use different principles, like the principle that states have their own rights as opposed to the federal government. So if the federal government say no, the state could say yes. All that is games playing. You understand? And it's used to undermine authority, undermine independence, and undermine democracies in other countries for their own good. We have to remember where we are and who we are. We are a small country surrounded by countries close to South America where arms and drugs are an everyday occurrence. And we are at risk. So yes, we should start executing people immediately, and drop out of these conventions if necessary to do it. You remember, the UNC government did it when they found a way to bypass the system in order to hang Dole Chedi. So what are they going to say now if this government finds a way to hang some people? Or to flog them for that matter? These gunmen, and these are young men and women, don't care anything about anybody. And unless we find a way to deal with them, the country is doomed. And we need mandatory minimum sentences. I will say it again and I will keep saying it. We need to have restrictive or no bail for people facing gun-related charges. And as I said one time, our judges in our country, they are only concerned about how they look internationally. They are not concerned, in my opinion, about how many people die in Trinidad and Tobago. They are looking at both the letter and the spirit of the law in order to find a way to say that they are being fair and even-handed when it is not true. They are handing all the cards to the criminals. There are people in prison now who didn't get bail, who are now entitled to get bail, who are threats to our society that we cannot protect ourselves from. The police are under siege. Of course, partially we destroyed the police service by bringing in people who didn't want to be in the service but using it to build their CV. We have to go back in the system to find a way to bring in persons, even if they don't have the O levels and A levels, by making them write an equivalency exam, who really want to be a police. Like how I joined the service. We need to do something now. Mr. Prime Minister, don't listen to all these people and their nonsense. Okay? They will want you to believe that it must be done in this way, or else they will cry and scream from the rooftops and all of that. Wait until one of their family gets killed. Who do you think they're going to blame? They're going to blame you. They're going to blame the Minister of National Security. They're going to blame the Commissioner of Police. But they wouldn't blame themselves. If you want to help your society, you need to give them shock treatment now. There are countries in the world, for example, that has the death penalty and long-term imprisonment for drugs and crime. Countries like Indonesia and like Singapore. I don't see them being forced out of human rights instruments. I'm not seeing their images get tarnished internationally. But we are being gunned down in the streets. Nobody is safe. We need to protect the country. And I have my own view about making Tobago, which in my opinion is still relatively pristine and crime-free, has not been totally infected by the poison from Trinidad, that we need to make it a protected zone, a special zone, and create special offenses and heightened penalties for committing certain crimes in Tobago. If we don't do that, we'll have a bigger problem in that Tobago will fall the way of Trinidad. And being smaller, it will be worse. We need to act now.